This man right here, Kevin Meehan, wrote the book called Fallen Peppercorns: Overcoming Child Abandonment, Abuse, Starvation, Drug Addiction to Become a Humble Optimist. But again, tell me about this book, because it's fascinating from the standpoint of the proof of someone can evolve from a supposedly hopeless situation, but you became that humble optimist, and you perceived and you conquered, and look where you are now.
It's meant to exhibit that if we really want to, we can overcome so many different obstacles we define as obstacles. A lot of us have been through hardships. And to say, instead of looking at those as negative and inhibitory patterns, let's look at those as blessings for us, and let's use those as stepping stones to get to a point of where we want to be, to achieve what we want to achieve. I've had many people, patients, and when I give lectures and things like that, that have said, well, I'm not able to do that because of what's happened to me in my past. And the emphasis of this book, Fallen Peppercorns, is to say, listen, instead of using that to inhibit you from progressing, let's utilize that as a strong point in how you're able to succeed with what you want to do and what you want to achieve.
But I mean, when you were growing up, I mean, here you had kind of an ideal situation with your brothers, and just how quickly you were uprooted from that. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, it's like, I think the biggest fear people have with their lives is the element of the unknown, because you don't know what's going to happen to yourself. Mm-hmm. So even though you had the circumstances that were not ideal by any means, you had a vision of where you wanted to take yourself. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Is that what propelled you? Is that what guided you? Is that what inspired you?
It's about how we can not overcome, but to accept where we are and to be proud of what we are. And one of the main messages, Benny, that I want to communicate with this book is you're okay with who you are, and to accept with who you are. And what happens if you're raped? As you know, I was raped multiple times. If you were an addict of my situation of heroin, any of these things are just a process. It's like a season of the year. We have 4 seasons. If we can experience all those seasons and move on to the next season. And that's what the book is primarily meant to communicate.
And see, the way I look at this book is, this is the highway to get you out of that. Yeah. And it's a highway that's been traveled, it's been proven, and it works. Mm-hmm. And I've always said that impossible is an opinion, it's not a fact. So you can change your life. Mm-hmm. Let me go back to, you mentioned fear. And what I've found phenomenal is cancer patients, they don't fear the pain, they don't fear the treatment or the inevitable. But what they do fear is to be left alone. Now, that to me was, again, that fear factor, right? And you would think that these people would, the pain and they go through excruciating, but yet that's a condition that mentally really, really besets these people.
Mm-hmm. And to that point, Benny, if we can extrapolate, is that fear or feeling left alone abandonment? Feeling the fear of abandonment, like they'll be left alone, or they'll be alone itself? And you bring up a very good point.
Fascinating. Now, as I read this book, one of the things that came to me was a philosophy that I've always shared, and that is that you learn more from failure than you do from success. Would that be?
Exactly. And that redefines failure as not being failure. It defines that basically failure is not failure at all. It's the process and the motivation of success. So you bring up, that's a very good point. It isn't really failure when we look at it. We only judge it as failure, such as the book. The book is, I didn't fail. I succeeded. And the success is being able to talk to you and talk to the audience about the possibilities about being able to help. And what I mean by help is to reach their standard of what they feel is their sense of contentment. Because what might be contentment for me or you, might be different for someone else. Humans seem to always gravitate to want to feeling one, joy. The beauty of life is feeling all five: anger, sorrow, grief, worry, and joy. But isn't it interesting that in modern society, we don't want to feel sadness, we don't want to feel grief, and therefore we're going to take an SSRI or an MAO. Depression, in my personal opinion, is almost the feeling like I don't want to feel those other feelings. I don't want to feel joy. I don't want to feel sorrow, sadness, grief. I always want to feel joy. We develop the SSRI. We develop MAOs, serotonin uptake inhibitors, because we always want to feel one thing and push away the other. My question to you is, does this inhibit growth? Does this inhibit our ability to feel life by not feeling the emotions that we're intended to feel? It's like the taste buds. Sour, salty, bitter, pungent, sweet. If we aren't able to taste and experience all five of those tastes, what is life? That's how I look at it. So the question I have for people is, wouldn't it be great to unveil our shroud and to say, we want to feel these things. We want to feel what sickness is like so we know what feeling good is like. That's how I look at it.
And that's what this book's all about. Fallen Peppercorns, the highway to changing your life, whatever the obstacle, whatever precipice you happen to be in, to scale the mountain and now enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
Kevin, congratulations.
Thank you so much.